All right, eighth grade. Remember, last week we had our text that we were coming up with our own unique sentence. A lot of you guys finished that last week. We also started to make a sloppy copy of our drawing. We're going to add that stuff into our sketchbooks if you have not already done so. So I'm going to go through step by step, putting it in there, and then we're going to go over the last part of this illustration project. Okay? Stay tuned. All right, we've got our sketchbook here. So I've opened it up to the page. I actually started to mark where my corners are. All right, and what we're going to want to do, zoom in here a little bit, is that since I marked the corners, I'm going to start roughing in. I've got my practice next to me. I'm going to look off of that to start to get my sketch in. I don't want to glue this down just yet in case I mess up. So I'm going to make sure that it's lined up in the corners, and I'm going to start working on my sketch of where I wanted some things to go so I can get my fat looking pigeon in there. All right, and I'm already, and it doesn't have to be 100% like your sloppy copy, but it is nice to have something to look off of to try to get it pretty close. So I'm going to have his glasses. And I'm going to go keep working on this, and then hopefully we can get to the next step in the process. So you guys work on yours, and we'll be back in a few minutes here. Okay, so I have gotten my sketch in, and it's settled enough that I think I'm good to glue it down. I got to give it a little bit of time to dry before I add the color and some details. So I'm going to put a little glue on the paper. I'm going to put a little glue on the text just so they stick. Trying to get the edges as close as I can. And then I got to line up those corners. And I didn't put it on too thick. I want that to dry fairly quickly, but I will go lightly in and start adding some of my details because I can lightly go over this paper. I don't necessarily want to color on it until it is got it time to dry. All right. Do that. Make sure I go around my words. Want to try to add as much detail as I possibly can. And then once this gets dried up, I can start to color, which will be exciting. All right. And I'm almost finished up here. All right. Okay, so we got some of that. I'm going to start going in and adding my color. And really when I start to color some of this, I want to make sure that I'm looking, even with the text, because that'll be hard to see some of these things that are going on. I'm going to go in with some red brick in here. I want to go right over the text, but I want to leave my circled text alone. and it should be a nice smooth transition between the text paper and the white drawing paper. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of red. I want to leave the border lines kind of white, so as I go through I'll probably erase some of that stuff. And I'm just going to take my time coloring, you know, filling it in, making sure that everything I drew has been represented, and we're getting rid of this old text form here and learning something a little newer. So I'm going to work my way around the page, and by going over this text, hopefully it all becomes one picture, and my wording will be what's left behind. Okay, so I've gotten a little further along. I want you guys to keep in mind that when you are selecting what colors you're going to use, you'll notice I went right over the page, and I wanted to make sure that my text still stands out when I'm working with it. So I started going lightly. You know, I've talked to you guys as long as you've had art with me of making sure that your pencil lines are short. Same direction usually helps keep it a little bit cleaner. Sometimes we can't do that, and sometimes we have to mix colors to get some different shades. So I've got a little red and black going on here. Try to do the background first if you can, and then that'll help your foreground picture stand forward. I still got a little ways to go, but I'm going to leave you here with this, all right? And take your time. We want to fill this whole page with some nice color and a nice story. I got a feeling you're going to use these again with Miss Beckman's class coming down the line here. So take your time, make them look nice, and we'll go from there. All right, as you're finishing up coloring, like I said before, take your time, get those pencil lines going the same direction so that you can come up with a nice, neat illustration with your cool sentence that you came up with. And then next week, we are going to start something new, so this will be the last class we work on these in there. We'll probably have something a little smaller for next week. I'm not sure whose class we're in, but you'll know that as soon as I know that, I guess. So enjoy the rest of your week, have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys next Friday.